50-year-old Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was shot and killed in what appears, at this early stage of our investigation, to be a brazen, targeted attack. This does not appear to be a random act of violence. The victim was in New York City to speak at an investor conference. It appears the suspect was lying in wait for several minutes. And as the victim was walking to the conference hotel, the suspect approached from behind and fired several rounds, striking the victim at least once in the back and at least once in the right calf.
From video, we see at 6:44 a.m., the victim is walking alone towards the Hilton after exiting his hotel across the street. We believe the victim was headed to the Hilton Hotel to attend the United Health Group Investors Conference that was scheduled to start at 8 a.m. The shooter appears to be a light-skinned male. He's wearing a light brown or cream-colored jacket, a black face mask, black and white sneakers, and a very distinctive gray backpack. The shooter steps onto the sidewalk from behind the car. He ignores numerous other pedestrians, approaches the victim from behind, and shoots him in the back. The shooter then walks toward the victim and continues to shoot. It appears that the gun malfunctions as he clears the jam and begins to fire again.
About an hour and 20 minutes before the start of the conference, is there any indication that he was going to meet someone? Because it's pretty early. Is he on his way to meet someone there at the conference?
He leaves the hotel dressed like he's going to be attending the conference. We're working with his co-workers and other people that he planned on attending the conference with to get that information. But as of right now, he's in charge of the conference, so we believe he was getting there to help set up.
Okay, and then just the city bike, if I may. Do we know where that city bike is now? Does he dock it, or does he keep riding it?
We're still tracking video. The last we see with him on that bike is in Central Park.
Is there a way to track that bike?
There are GPSs on those bikes. We'll be working with the company.
All right, we're going to move over. We're going to go NJ Burkett.
Thank you. Chief, were any words exchanged? If so, what were the words? I'm told a cell phone was recovered in an alleyway on his escape route. Does that appear to be connected to the suspect?
We're working through that cell phone. Obviously, we'll be processing it forensically. And as far as words being exchanged, we do not have audio of the incident. We only have the regular video.
But nothing from witnesses?
Nothing from, well, there was one witness standing right next to the victim when he was shot. We're still trying to identify that victim. Excuse me, that witness.
We're going to go over to Aaron Katursky.
Thank you. Chief, was he checked into the hotel across the street alone? Was he in the city alone? Was he accompanied by anybody? Did he have any known enemies or anyone that you've been able to find so far?
Like I said, we're reaching out to law enforcement in Minnesota, and we're also interviewing his co-workers and family members to see if there have been any specific threats against him in the past. As far as who was he in the hotel with, we're doing a search warrant in his hotel room right now. That might lead us, give us some more information.
All right, we're going to go over to Dean Moses.
Couple of questions. One, based on the surveillance we've seen of this individual, do you feel like he's professional? You mentioned that he did a bullet spell. Do you feel like this was a professional individual who took this man's life? And also, will it affect in any way tree life tonight?
I'll answer the part about whether or not he's a professional. That we have no way of knowing that. From watching the video, it does seem that he's proficient in the use of firearms, as he was able to clear the malfunctions pretty quickly.
And this shooting comes on the same day as large crowds gather for the Rockefeller tree lighting. Security is now higher. We have two reports. Anthony Carlo on that heightened security in Midtown, but we're going to begin with NJ Burkett. And the shooting itself, he's at the Hilton in Midtown Manhattan. Newt?
Yeah, right, Bill, a trove of forensic evidence and now a possible motive that the killer may have had a grudge against the victim's insurance company and acted on it by killing the company's CEO. Yes, insurance company executives do face threats. Brian Thompson apparently was no exception.
Crime scene investigators recovered 3 live rounds and 3 spent shell casings just outside the entrance to the Hilton where the gunman had been waiting. In this surveillance video, Brian Thompson strides confidently toward the door as the gunman calmly walks up behind him and draws his gun. With the victim out of frame, it's clear he fires at least 3 times. Thompson will stagger to the wall where he will collapse. He's shot once more while on the sidewalk before the gunman casually walks away. He was last seen on an e-bike before he disappeared into Central Park. This livery driver says he witnessed the shooting.
I saw him after he shot him. He ran across the street this way. I tried to take a picture, but it's too far away. It's not that clear,
It appears the suspect was lying in wait for several minutes.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
I want to be clear. At this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
Thompson was the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, a division of the nation's largest health insurance company, in New York since Monday to attend an investor conference this morning. Police say he walked toward the hotel at 6:44 a.m., where he was met by the gunman. After the shooting, the killer takes off down an alley, then walks to 6th Avenue, where he gets on the e-bike. Seconds later, he's seen riding toward Central Park and is inside the park by 6:48. It's not clear whether any words were exchanged. Investigators later recovered these surveillance images from a Starbucks 1 block north, and a cell phone was found along the escape route.
We're working through that cell phone. Obviously, we'll be processing it forensically. And as far as words being exchanged, we do not have audio of the incident. We only have the regular video.
But detectives are looking to interview this person who witnessed the shooting and ran off. Police officials could not say for sure whether the gun had a silencer, but they believe it is unlikely the gunman was a professional killer.
Based on the evidence we have so far, it does appear that the victim was specifically targeted, but at this point we do not know why. This does not appear to be a random act of violence.
You'd have to go back 40 years to the murder of Gambino boss Paul Castellano to find a murder in Midtown this brazen. Investigators also say that what is puzzling is that Thompson didn't have a security detail. Live tonight in Midtown, NJ Burkett, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
The suspected gunman has now been on the run since just after 6:45 a.m. this morning. He's believed to have used a silencer. What is the information we have? What does it tell you about the sophistication of this attack?
Well, Jake, the details and nuances of this attack are extraordinary. They do betray an astounding level of pre-planning, of organization, and it should also say cool-headedness. And all of those things together would point towards a very competent assassin and potentially even someone who does this for hire. We know first by his use of the weapon. He's carrying a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. It appears to be equipped with some sort of silencer or suppression device. These are not things that you see on everyday, ordinary homicides, drive-by shootings, things like that. This is a pretty advanced piece of equipment. He uses it with great precision. His timing is impeccable. He waits behind the SUV until the target walks past. He steps out behind the target so as not to be seen. He shoots once and then follows it up with 2 additional shots to make sure he's got a complete kill. And of course, he's able to recycle the weapon to clear an ammunition jam in the middle of the attack. That shows a high degree of training on firearms, training that in which you practice over and over how to clear a jam from a gun in the middle of a firefight. He's clearly adept at those skills. And I think the timing and the way he conducts himself also really lend to this impression that this is someone who is very serious and spent a lot of time thinking this through.
We really don't know what it was about, but shocked that somebody would be killed in broad daylight in New York. That's really quite shocking.
Police say the city is still safe and the lighting will go on as planned.
This is a terrible event, but we're going to go on and people are going to enjoy the tree lighting tonight.
In New York City, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Brian was a wonderful person with a big heart and who lived life to the fullest. He will be greatly missed by everybody. Our hearts are broken and we are completely devastated by this news. He touched so many lives.
Colleagues, I'm deeply saddened to tell you that earlier this morning, our friend and colleague Brian Thompson was killed just outside our investor conference hotel in New York. There are no words to describe how so many of us are feeling right now. Brian was a truly extraordinary person who touched the lives of countless people throughout our organization and far beyond. It's a terrible tragedy, and I know we are in shock and disbelief. Our hearts are with his family, especially his mom, his wife Paulie, his brother, and his 2 boys who lost their father today. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and be assured we'll be there for them. I hope you, will now all do the same for one another as we all grieve together during this awful time.
Brian Thompson was promoted to CEO of UnitedHealthcare in April 2021. He managed a division that employs about 140,000 people and offers insurance to both individuals and companies. When asked if he had any enemies or threats against him, police said they were still interviewing family and colleagues. So who was Brian Thompson? Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres has been looking into the slain CEO's background. Joe?
Sandra, a horrifying and shocking act of violence. That is how Senator Amy Klobuchar described the cold-blooded killing of Brian Thompson. Thompson, as we mentioned, was the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, a company based in Minnesota. But he was in Manhattan for an annual conference at the Hilton when his life was cut short this morning by a murderer in Midtown. Brian Thompson was 50 years old, 50. And while his business acumen and leadership skills paved the way to a prosperous and privileged career in the healthcare industry, it was his roles as husband and father of two that meant the world to his family. We are shattered to hear about the senseless killing of our beloved Brian, wrote his wife Paulette in a statement. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed. For the last 3 years, Thompson served as the chief executive officer of UnitedHealthcare, the health benefits business of its parent company, UnitedHealth Group, the country's largest private health insurer. Before holding the company's top spot, Thompson oversaw United's government programs from 2019 to 2021, a responsibility that added to his management of the company's Medicare and retirement division. He kicked off his career with United 20 years ago as the director of corporate development before working his way to CEO. A statement issued by United Health Group said, Brian was a highly respected colleague and friend to all who worked with him. We are working closely with the New York Police Department and ask for your patience and understanding during this difficult time. United Health Group is based in Minnetonka, Minnesota. The flags outside corporate headquarters flew at half-staff today.
I knew Brian. Tragic. And as I said, some of it's still preliminary on this, but figure out what was behind this and follow through, making sure someone's brought to justice. But just our deepest condolences to the family. Horrible tragedy.
UnitedHealth and Brian Thompson were under the scrutiny of federal investigators. The Department of Justice was looking at the company for antitrust issues. Mr. Thompson dumped more than $15 million in stock before telling investors or the public about the federal investigation.
Police say the gunman then fled on an e-bike into Central Park. Investigators released these images Thursday morning of a person of interest they want to question in the case, taken at a hostel on the city's Upper West Side.
At this hostel, they said they had this individual who had the same coat, who was wearing a mask. He almost never took it down.
Except for one brief moment at the front desk, say police, who interviewed several people at the hostel.
They remembered that person. So he's a person of interest, and they want to get him identified to determine if he is their suspect or he can be eliminated.
While police work that lead, new clues are emerging on the bullets themselves, according to several law enforcement officials. The words delay and depose were discovered on ammunition found at the scene. Depose was etched into a shell casing from a fired round. Delay was on a live round that wasn't fired, but ejected when the shooter was clearing a jam.
They are operating on the theory that the bullets had a message against insurance companies who, when hit with claims, will delay or go to court and take depositions.
If someone has heard him use those words before and sees that picture, especially of his face in the Starbucks, they would be able to put two and two together and get in touch with law enforcement, hopefully.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.